alcohol markers with the best warm grey colors. And they are not Copics. Yes, you heard that right, it is not Copic. Well, hello, welcome to my new video. Today I'm gonna review touch twin alcohol markers from Shinhan. So this is a Korean brand, and from what I know, they make professional grade art supplies, and they are quite popular in some countries. They are not very well known here in Germany, I must say. For example, I have never seen them in any official art stores here in Berlin, and we have quite a few of those. But I've seen a lot of artists use them on Pinterest, or Instagram, and I stumbled upon these markers in one of the online stores. I have got a warm grey set with 6 markers. So these have brush and chisel nibs, but from what I know, Shinhan also makes touch twin markers with bullet and chisel nibs. I also grabbed this red marker just, to check it out. There wasn't really any plan there. So I really wanted, the warm grey set, because I read somewhere that touch twin markers have these unique, and beautiful warm grey shades. I guess we'll see today. So regarding the color selection, according to the official site and also this booklet, there are 204 colors in the brush marker lineup, and these are the colors in this stack. And here's how the nibs look. Nothing unusual so far. So the caps can be posted on the back of the marker, but that's not a big deal for me. I rarely do that anyway. I guess this is because my first markers were Winsor Newton, and you cannot stack the caps on top of each other too. So size-wise, they seem to be somewhere between Copic Sketch and OHUHU markers. I couldn't find any information on how much ink they hold, but visually they're closer to Copic Sketch, I think. So I would guess the ink amount is similar. Now let's swatch them. Shinhan's website says these markers have something called a true color cap. I guess that means that the caps match the actual color. Well, we'll see how true that is. So, color coding system. I couldn't find any information, official information about their color coding system. So, except for grays, warm gray 1, warm gray 3, warm gray 7, and so on. So, the rest doesn't seem to follow a clear pattern like Copic's system, for example. They do indicate the color family though, R stands for reds, B for blues, and so on. Right now, I can't really say that I'm super impressed with the warm gray. I mean, they look really nice, but is it really that special? The red is lovely though, I like the color. Let's test the brush nib now. It's definitely way more flexible than OHUHU's regular brush nib. I think it is similar to Copic. Okay, let me do some strokes and scribbles before actually commenting. Okay, so I also grabbed some Winsor Newton markers and Ohuhu with Supreme brush nibs. What I can say right away is the ink has a bit of a smell. It is not super strong, just a bit of different compared to Ohuhu or Copic smell. Nothing bad or negative though. It's just a bit different. Now, this is Ohuhu Supreme nib. They're flexible, and I would say the touch, Ohuhu Supreme and Copic nibs are quite similar. I would say Winsor Newton brush nibs are even more flexible, which isn't always a good thing, to be honest. I cannot say I'm a huge fan of Winsor Newton brush nibs. They're still good markers though. I think that's just me, that's just my skills issue. Okay, now let's do some blending tests. I'm gonna take warm gray 1, 3, 5, and let's see about 7. Actually, now that I'm covering a bigger area, I can see that these warm grey colors do have something special in them. It feels like they have a reddish or pinkish undertone. And here is, for example, Winsor Newton warm grey for comparison. That one is more much more earthy. By the way, touch markers blend super well. I'm also using some top-tier paper for alcohol markers, so that definitely helps, and it does some really heavy lifting there too. Okay, I really love the color. I see it now why there was this praise about the warm grey color. What I am a bit confused about though is that after laying down a couple of layers, I don't really see a huge difference between, I think it was warm grey 3 and warm grey 5, but I think that's just the blending. I wish I had some warm grey 4 to compare. So regarding the chisel nibs, as I said, Swatches chisel nibs are also like 5mm, and that's the same size that Copic chisel nibs are, but they are noticeably broader, and to be honest, I'm a bit struggling with them. So they feel a bit more like clunky. Okay, of course, these are just some scribbles, but I can confirm that they feel like high-end professional-grade alcohol markers. I would say really comparable to Copic. Okay, and that was my cat. I'm sorry, but you scared me a lot. Now again, looking at the chisel nibs, you can see that Copic's chisels are way thinner. Apologies, I thought I was holding them up to the camera properly, but I clearly failed. Okay, anyway, to wrap it up, so touch chisel nibs are a bit of a like mixed bag for me. They're still, you know, solid, decent chisel nibs, but probably will not be my favorite. Now, I want to do also a bit of a blending test with Copics, just to make sure that they are indeed similar in blending. So here are the same warm grey colors, but now from Copic. What I can feel immediately is that Copic releases ink a bit more like easily. Just to be clear, I didn't struggle with touch markers, but they feel slightly different. Also, now that I'm looking at Copic warm greys next to the touch ones, I'm again impressed with the shades of touch markers. Okay, so my verdict regarding blending. I think they blend as well as Copic markers do. Really, really top performance. I'm super impressed. Now let's compare the caps with the swatches and actually check if the true color is actually true. I think they are somewhat similar, but honestly, it's really hard to tell because the colored, this colored part of the cap is so tiny. It's so small. Yeah. And I think, probably I could form like a better opinion if I had like a bigger selection of colors and not just, the gray set. Okay. And now let's draw something. I'll show you the whole process so you can follow along if you want to, but I will speed up some of the repetitive parts. And also, this will help not to make my video like 1 hour long. So I wanted to draw something cozy and, winter inspired. And at first I felt like, okay, maybe some decorations or like Christmas theme or something, but I just couldn't come up with anything that would work with the gray color palette. I think that was just a fail from the beginning. So after thinking a little bit, I then had this idea, okay, I could draw a coffee cup in a knitted scarf. I'm doing like quotation marks now, like a coffee cup sleeve. And by the way, I really do draw coffee a lot recently. So the cup will be bright red, just to add, some splashes of color to my illustration. And also I can test this red touch marker. But since I don't really have any other red touch markers, I will be using Copics here too. And the scarf will be gray, okay? So these will be my new touch markers. So while I draw, I will share some additional thoughts about these markers. Let's start with the price. Touch markers are on the more like expensive side. So they are around €4 to €5 or dollar per pen. And for example, a set of 60 pens would cost about €250 here in Germany. So I've seen like prices like 220 and up to 280, depending on the shop. So this 6 marker set of warm grey colors cost me €28, so it's about €66 per pen. I will put some price comparison here on the screen and I will add some more details in the description box. So feel free to check it out and, ask questions if you have any. So as you can see, price-wise, they are similar to Winsor Newton, but since Winsor Newton doesn't offer refills or replaceable nibs, honestly, I would rather go with touch if my budget is limited. Also, Pro Marker brush has only 72 colors, just for like perspective. So touchstone markers are sold in sets, but also individually. They also have replaceable nibs and refills, and that's like 100 points for me right away. I am a really big fan of refillable markers. And by the way, at first I was really annoyed by the barcode stickers on the side of the markers. You probably noticed them. But it turns out they're super easy to remove and they leave no sticky residue. So now my touch markers look very pleasing because I removed those nasty stickers. I'm gonna say I also like, how they look. I think they do not look cheap in any way. So the pens look like really, of good quality. The plastic feels good. I also scratched a bit, like the writing, so nothing is coming off. And also I like that they're not like a round shape, so they do not really like roll over the desk, like all over the place. Okay, and I gotta say, I am really falling in love with these warm grey colors. The internet didn't lie, the people of internet didn't lie. They are truly unique and beautiful. And by the way, this is me from the editing room from the future. I don't know it yet in this video, but I actually ordered refills for all the colors in the set because I really like them so much. I think these markers will be my go-to markers for warm grey colors. Also, I know I said earlier that the way the ink flows feels a bit different with these markers compared like to OHUHU or Copics, but honestly, it doesn't bother me. So now that I'm using them actually, like to draw something, I'm really enjoying these markers. So the nibs feel really like flexible and soft, but still easy to control. And the ink flow is real good. And also they blend really well. And now to wrap it up. I honestly didn't have any expectations for these markers, and to be fully real, I was kinda convinced that no brand can beat Copic. Yes, I'm a huge Copic girl. I love my Copics. But these markers surprised me in the best way possible, so they are well made. Again, as I said, I scratched at the printed letters on the barrel, and the caps, and nothing rubbed off, so the plastic doesn't feel cheap, the nibs are great, and the colors, oh my gosh, the colors, they are beautiful, these warm grey colors just are a delight. And now I'm actually thinking about collecting more of these markers. And again, this is me from the future, from the editing room. I don't know it yet, but I ended up ordering a 60 marker set as a Christmas gift for myself. Please don't judge. So I'm waiting for my new touch twin marker set to arrive in a couple of days. But back to my 6 marker set. So based on this small sample of markers, I can definitely recommend them. So I can definitely recommend this particular set. But again, please, please, please check before buying if, these markers are easy to buy in your country. Because to be transparent, there aren't that many stores, even online, that sell touch markers here in Germany, for example. And I really don't want to encourage anyone to invest in a product that could be hard to find. So I bought these markers, and honestly, I'm not really sure if I will be able to repurchase them. Somehow I couldn't say repurchase. That's a difficult word. And I really wonder why they're kind of niche. Is it because Copic, dominates the high-end marker market? But for example, again, Winsor Newton products are literally everywhere here, like Amazon, offline stores, online stores, like you name it. So yeah, let me know in the comments, do they sell them in your country? And yeah, have you tried touch markers? So if yes, what is your opinion? Would you recommend them? Because I'm really curious now. Anyhow, this is my little illustration. I actually quite like it. I think the cup is cute, you know, in this like knitted kind of sweater thing. I also like the combination of the red color and the warm color. Again, I am in love with these warm gray colors. And yeah, so that's it for today, folks, and I'm hoping to post one more video before the end of the year. But, you know, if life happens, I wish everyone a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and happy any other holiday that is happening in December. Ciao, and may your markers never dry.